What's up, guys? So, just a follow-up to the Carmelo Anthony case that's going on. Soul reports that he is out on bail. And let's talk about the GoFundMe that he was able to have and the another case that was very, very big a few years ago, Kyle Rittenhouse. Very, very similar case, and very, very different results, different perception, different news coverage. Kyle Rittenhouse, someone who was demonized, just demonized on Twitter, news. I mean, the banks, the banks shut him down. Insane. Let's go over that. Let's take a look at this news article, USA Today. Since the killing on April 2nd, Anthony's family's created a fundraiser through the platform Give, Send, Go, raising over 431,000 of its $500,000 goal. Now, I believe, I'm pretty sure GoFundMe, which is, I don't know if that's the same thing, it's a different name. I believe GoFundMe would not let you raise money for someone who was suspected of a violent crime or something like that. Like someone killed someone, GoFundMe would not allow you to raise money for that person, even if it's not, even if they're still not proven guilty or innocent. Like if the charge is murder or something, you cannot get a GoFundMe. Now, this is a different platform, I would assume. Give, Send, Go, never heard of them, but $431,000. Now, first place I would go is who's donating money to this case? I think it's an obvious question. I mean, I think it's an obvious answer. Donations coming from people who believe, I don't want to call them racist, right? Is it fair to call someone who donates money to a black kid who admitted to killing a white kid? Is that racist if you do that? I don't think it's that far to say the person donating the money is racist, but if you look at the whole picture itself, it's, you got a black kid killing a white kid, 17 years old, Carmelo Anthony taking a knife to in his bag to a track meet in Texas. Kyle Rittenhouse had a was licensed, right? He was licensed to carry, and he legit shot someone, two people, I believe, in self-defense. And one of those people that Kyle shot was convicted recently prior to the shooting of sex crimes against a minor. So you didn't see that on the news. Why did I have to go digging through Twitter to find that, right? Why wasn't that a huge thing? The person that he shot was not a was not a good person. Let's just say that. The person you shot was an evil person. Let's say that, but they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that at all. Can you believe, the kid was young, Kyle and Carton, they're all young. They were all young in this case, and it's how it's kind of similar. Excuse me. Very um political news. I mean, this is a political take because my stance on a Carmelo Anthony, you're guilty. You're guilty. You killed somebody, you murdered someone. Not just like you murdered someone. It wasn't self-defense unless it's different, right? Because there is no video of the incident, which is weird. I'm sure at a high school there were some kids recording the incident because it starts with Austin Metcalf telling him to, move, whatever. However he said it, we don't know. Doesn't matter. If he cursed him, if he cursed and called him names, does that matter? Does that give you the right to take out a knife and stab him? No. So my stance on that is that there is no situation in which you're at a track meet and you should be able to pull out a knife and kill someone. It wasn't that's not self-defense, bro. If you put your hands up and you started swinging, that's self-defense. If he touched you and stuff like that, swing on him, right? Carmelo is a 17-year-old. He's a track star. He's an athlete. Swing on him. Why would you not swing like a normal person would? Right? You a tough guy. If you got that macho, that dog in you, fight. We all have that. When I was 17, somebody talked to me funny, especially from a rival high school or whatever. That's what people do. You either talk shit back, you swing, you set up a fight. I mean, I remember we used to set up fights at parks and stuff after school. You set up a fight, there's gonna be people recording. Whether you win or lose, you go on about life, and you learn about being a man like that from fighting, not from taking, the salt. It is the most softest thing you can do to think you hard by pulling out a knife and stabbing somebody who had no intention of taking your life or anything like that. Somebody who was it's like you walked up behind somebody and shot him in the head. It's just murder. Like they weren't expecting that. So even if like a situation where it's you're good to take out a knife, somebody's like attacking your family, if somebody is threatening to assault you, your family, threatening to kill you, something like that, where you need to take out a knife because your life's legit in danger. And um, your first use when you take out a knife, it's not to swing at somebody, right? If you were to take out a knife of somebody, human nature, I mean, I would think me, I wouldn't, if I'm in that, it's only like if you're being chased or something, but if you thought you were being threatened and you had to take out a knife, your first instinct is not to take out the knife and stab. Your first instinct would be like, take out the knife and warn the person, yo, back up. I'm not playing. You say whatever you got to say and to protect yourself, but your first instinct is to try to de-escalate the situation, get the other person to run away, not take out the knife and stab. That's your intent to kill, is to kill. And to me, that's a murder intent. You don't do that. You would try to tell the person run away, and that to me, I mean, that's just how I would think, especially if there's, not there's so many people around. There's hundreds. You got to assume at a track meet, let's say there's 100 people there. There's probably more. There's school teachers, there's adults there. Like, yo, dude's running his mouth, get him away from me. Something like that. Like logical, sensible um actions that he should have done. He should have told somebody, and that he should just tell somebody, right? But kids have it in their mind that if you tell on somebody, you snitching, you're soft, you're a punk. But dude, you like from him trying to prove, and it could be the case where he was trying to prove he was tough, and he wanted to let it out. Just made the biggest mistake of your life. It should be the biggest mistake of his life, and there should be um, a good jail punishment. Now, if this guy gets off free, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? It really makes you wonder how um, he's able to raise money, how he's able to admit to killing the guy, and he's out on bail after 12 days. And Kyle Rittenhouse did not get the same treatment. And it's crazy. How is this? And I wonder, how is this possible? And well, I know how it's possible, but people, it's I don't know, I like to think of the conspiracy stuff and who's running these news, the machine of the news, and going into all that stuff, and that's where my mind goes. How is it that a black kid kills a white kid, and the black kid gets treated almost not a hero, but there's people donating for him. There are people who are protesting in his defense, saying it was self-defense. These people have no idea what happened. Every time a black person does something in the news, whether it's a crime or something, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of people who use that as a it's a political tool to get votes, to brainwash people, to get money. There's going to be so much people making money off of this case, not just his family, and it's wild, you know. It is wild. A bank for banks to shut down Kyle Rittenhouse because of his case, and this to not even, I bet you a bank would never dare touch this kid's account, because if they did, what would happen? If a bank was to close down Carmelo Anthony's bank account like they did to Kyle Rittenhouse, that company would be the bank would instantly be protested against. Nobody would use them. Everyone close their accounts, and they'd be labeled racist and lose their credibility. But when they do it to Kyle Rittenhouse, it's perfectly fine. Nobody really cares. It's not a big deal. It is what it is. Kyle Rittenhouse deserved it. He's a monster. He should have, he's a right wing extremist. He's a MAGA. He's, blah, 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 blah. It's all, I'm able to see through this stuff, and I don't think a lot of people can. And hopefully these videos help, because people need to wake up and see why the news show people in certain and why they portray people in certain ways. When they portray someone that's labeled a monster and things like they did Calvin in similar cases. It's not obviously the same. Calvin House shot someone, and Carmelo Anthony stabbed someone, but it's similar enough to where it's a situation of, was it self-defense, and instantly from the beginning you can see the different reaction. And that's where it always takes me. It's like, man, these people watching news all day, believing all this hype, it's just brainwashing. It's just brainwashing. If you think this dude, Carmelo Anthony, deserved to stab somebody in the heart for that person telling him to move, um, you're sick in the head. You can't think for yourself. You're a sheep. You soft, and yeah, it's pathetic. You're pathetic believing that. You're pathetic for thinking a person deserves to be killed for simply telling you to move. That it's a weak mindset. You're soft. You live your life based off racism and hating white people and thinking all black people are the best, and you support terrible people. Now, the kid being 17, does he deserve to, that's, I don't want to speak on that. Does he deserve to be, obviously like not in jail for the rest of his life, but does he deserve a second chance and things like that? That's for courts. And even then, who trusts the courts? Who really trusts the courts? It's an opinion thing. What do you think? You think a kid at 17 that would stab somebody for telling them to move, you think that person, once they go to jail, spend a couple years in jail and get more institutionalized in jail, and once you already got that killer mindset, you don't think in jail he's gonna hurt other people and things like that? And when he gets out, it'll never happen again. It's wild. It's wild how these cases are portrayed. And if the roles were reversed, and if he was white and killed a black kid, he would not be able to get a GoFundMe. He would not be able to be bailed out. He would not have a judge lowering his bond from 1 million to 250,000. It's insane. It's insane. And it's all for votes. This is all to keep black people, to keep the racial divide for Democratic votes. It's always been a game. It's a political game. So that's my thoughts on it. What do you guys think? Drop a comment. Let me know. Peace.